Hello, hockey fans, and welcome to NHL Draft Pros. On today's video, we're going to revisit the 2024 NHL Draft class and see where some of the prospects are in their D+1 seasons.
Shoots, he scores!
And if you want to learn about some of the NHL prospects, please subscribe and help me get to 11,000 followers. I'm getting close to 11,000, so I'd really appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, so as we know, last year, San Jose got the first overall pick, and they ended up going with Macklin Celebrini from Boston University. And let me tell you something, the kid has been lights out this year, putting up some decent numbers in his first season in NHL. 39 points in 43 games already. Very nice indeed. And he has become a contender for the Calder Trophy and has been compared to Sidney Crosby due to his offensive prowess, but also his defensive responsibility. And the Sharks landed a beauty when they won the lottery for first overall pick last year. All right, and then at number 2, Chicago ended up going with Artyom Levshinov from Michigan State University, and he has some decent numbers too, 13 points in 38 games in the AHL. And when Levshinov went second overall to the Blackhawks, it just shows how they consider him to be a cornerstone of the blue line in the future. The one thing you have to remember with Levshinov is that he has some raw talent. There's going to be some growing pains as he adapts to the pro game, but the underlying abilities for a great D are there. It's just going to take a little time, and he should end up as a top pairing D for Chicago at some point. All right, at number 3, Anaheim went a little bit off the board, and they took Beckett Seneca. And yeah, he was just as surprised as a few other people, but not bad so far this year, 68 points in 40 games. So he's already bypassed his last year's totals. And you know what? When Seneca didn't get an invite to Canada's World Juniors team, he went on an absolute tear and put up 22 points in 8 games in December and was named the OHL Player of the Month. And the overall progression has been good in his D+1 season, but he still projects as a top-line winger, so that was a nice pickup by Anaheim at number 3. Okay, so at number 4, Columbus, well, they ended up going with Caden Lindstrom from the Medicine Hat Tigers in the dub, and Lindstrom hasn't played a hockey game since December 2023 due to a herniated disc in his back that required surgery. But when healthy, he is an elite athlete with power forward written all over him. Now, hopefully we get to see him at some time soon because we'd really like to see, is he deserving of that 4th overall position? All right, and then Montreal at number 5. They must have been thinking, wow, are we going to land Ivan Demidov? And yes, they did. And check out these numbers, 44 points in 52 games in the KHL. And with those numbers, he breaks the KHL for most points in a season by a player under 20, surpassing the likes of Kaprizov, Mishkov, Kuznetsov. Look at the names on that list. And yeah, the Habs landed one of the most dynamic and skilled prospects in the draft. He is dangerous every time he steps onto the ice and can be a game changer. I had him as the number 2 prospect in the draft. And an interesting fact, my top 12 prospects for the 2024 NHL Draft were the top 12 picks come draft day. Not in the right order, but nevertheless, I was right for the top 12, so a little tap on the back for myself. But yeah, Ivan Demidov, what a pickup by Montreal at number 5. Okay, moving on. We got, at number 6, Utah. They took Tej Aginla. And before going down with a hip injury that required season-ending surgery, the Kelowna Rocket had 32 points in 18 games. It's difficult to determine his progression based on a small sample size this year, but the potential is there, and that's why he went number 6 to the Utah hockey team. All right, number 7. And Ottawa went with Carter Yakimchuk. And listen, when a prospect makes it to one of the last cuts on his parent NHL team, that says a lot about his training camp, and Yakimchuk did that with sense. So it was kind of surprising that he didn't get an invite to Team Canada's World Junior Team selection camp. There are still some things to work on defensively, but man, he's young, and time is on his side. So Yakimchuk at number 7 to Ottawa. Okay, number 8, Seattle. They went with Berkeley Catton, the Cat. And check out these numbers, 71 points in 38 games. So he's on pace about the same as last season. Catton has continued to progress well for the Spokane Chiefs in the WHL this season and got a boost when Andrew Cristal joined the team. Let me tell you something. The two of them have been terrorizing the dub lately. Catton will look to make the jump to the NHL next year. And you know what? It's going to be hard to keep him out. But you know what? I'm a big fan of Catton, and that pick at 8 I thought was really good for Seattle. Calgary. And Zane Parekh was the next pick there. And after posting 96 points in 66 games last year as a defenseman, he's again terrorizing the league in the OHL, 68 points in 43 games. And you know what? This kid is dynamic with the puck on his stick. And yeah, he's the kind of player that can run a power play. Just got to work on his defensive play, though. A little bit of things he's got to fix up. But otherwise, I mean, in terms of offense, yeah, he checks off all the boxes. Okay, and then finishing off the top 10, we got New Jersey. They went with the big 6'7" D, Anton Salayev out of Russia. And guess what? Progression's been well. He's already almost surpassed his points from last year. He's got 10 points in 48 games, which is what you like to see, and working on his defensive part of his game. But you know what? Once he makes a jump to the NHL, he's going to be a force on that blue line for Jersey. Okay, the next 20 here we got at San Jose at 11. They went with Sam Dickinson from the London Knights. And check out these numbers, 58 points in 37 games. Yep. He's been terrorizing the O as well and didn't stand out at the World Juniors, but you know what? He's young. He's born in June, so he's a young draft eligible player, and he's progressing well, obviously, for the London Knights. At 12, we got Zeev Buium to Minnesota, the University of Denver standout, and last year had 50 points in 42 games. This year, looking about the same in terms of his points. I really like Zeev Buium. He looked really good at the World Juniors, and I think that that's going to be a nice pickup for Minnesota once he makes the jump to pro hockey. At number 13, the Flyers went with Jet Luchenko, which I thought was kind of high for him, but you know what? He's a pro player. Like, he's going to play in NHL. Is that offensive upside there? I mean, not necessarily. He's going to be the highest, you know, in terms of points and stuff like that, but I like that pickup by the Flyers with Jet Luchenko. All right, at 14, Buffalo, they went with Konsta Helenius. And check out these numbers in the AHL, 18 points in 37 games. So not bad at all for the young Finn. And he's another player, like good middle six potential. I don't see him running a top line, so we'll see what happens in the future for him. Detroit, they went with their, prototypical player, Michael Branstad-Nygaard at 15. And playing in the SHL, he has 11 points in 30 games. So, nothing too extraordinary in terms of offense, but he's that dependable two-way player with a great shot. So he went to Detroit at 15. 16, St. Louis, they went with the big D, Adam Jiricek, brother of David Jiricek. And yeah, he's a big kid, 6'3", 180 pounds, got to beef up a little bit. But in the OHL with Brantford, 9 points in 18 games. So some things to work on for him, but he's more of a defensive type D for sure. 17, Washington went with Tarek Parasak, and he was just a menace last year in the dub, 105 points in 68 games. This year, following up 63 points in 45 games. Not a huge progression, but nevertheless, the defensive upside is there for him as well. 18, Chicago, they went with the dependable Sasha Boiver out of the USHL. This year, playing in North Dakota, has 19 points in 25 games, so not bad. Good progression there. Again, he's not really, relied upon for his offensive output, so, to see some decent numbers like that definitely helps out for the young prospect going to Chicago. All right, number 19, Trevor Connolly went to Vegas. And yeah, you know what? He was an enigma. He played really well at the World Juniors, I thought. Has 11 points in 15 games for Providence. It's going to be interesting to see his progression, to be honest with you. I want to see how he goes. He has some off-ice issues, but definitely is a decent player for sure. All right. At number 20, the Islanders, they landed Cole Eiserman. I thought this was a great pickup by the Isles. And look at this, 23 points in 24 games. So he's at a point per game in the NCAA playing for Boston University. So, total shooter, World Juniors, same thing. Relied on him for scoring those big goals. Power play kind of guy. But the rest of the game needs a little bit of work on too. All right. And then at 21, we got Michael Hage, the Habs. Another steal, I thought, for the first round. And check out these numbers. 28 points in 25 games playing for Michigan. Unreal. The young Wolverine has been putting up some decent numbers for sure. Now, he's another Canadian prospect that was snubbed by Team Canada at the World Juniors, but his play for the Wolverines has been great. And there are some parts of his game that need some work, like his off-puck play, but he looks to be a future NHL player with some offensive upside for sure. All right, and then moving down the line, just going to touch on a few of these players here. So Jäger Søren to Nashville, Stian Solberg, Anaheim, Cole Baudouin to Utah, and then Dean Letourneau to Boston. But one player I want to talk about is Liam Greentree, right on my neck of the woods here. and he plays for the Windsor Spitfires. And check out these numbers: 81 points already in 48 games. Him and Misa have been battling back and forth for first overall and scoring in the O, but yeah, he's an offensive threat every time he's on the ice. And you know what? His skating actually improved, and he's a big kid, 6'3", 200 pounds. He's going to be a nice fit in LA for sure. And then Van Ecker, Gridden, Hemming, Emery, Danford, and O'Reilly finish off the top 32. But for the most part, the big thing I wanted to talk about is Demidov absolutely being a menace in the KHL. So good for him, having a great season. Montreal landed a beauty at number 5. So that's it for today. And like I said, help me get to 11,000 by hitting that subscribe and like button. I'd really appreciate it. And we'll see you soon. Cheers.